Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Bodybuilding News Network. As always, I'm your host, Sanj. Thanks for checking in and checking out another video. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the men's classic physique lineup for this year's 2022 Arnold Classic and my thoughts on their progression on their contest preps just under 2 weeks out from this year's Arnold Classic. So, if you're interested in a video like that, definitely stay tuned. But if you are not, check out the library, see if there's another video you want to watch, or I'll see you in the next one. But if you're still here, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the Arnold Classic. Now, I know I've given a little bit of over love to the Men's Open, as that seems to be the more popular class for me and for most of the fans here on this channel. But I wanted to give some extra love to the men's classic physique because it would seem in today's sphere of bodybuilding that classic physique is the more, I don't know if I want to say fan favorite, but it is a favorite amongst some fans. Whereas I prefer open. I love the look of open and just that freak factor. You're always going to like the freak factor. Some people gravitate more in the terms of it being a more realistic look for most fans. If you're sitting there thinking about how, your physique might compare to some of these guys, it's going to be a lot more comparable to, for the most part, men's physique or men's classic physique, whereas it might not compare as well to a men's open competitor. So that's why I kind of was thinking about doing this video. And also some of these physique updates are gnarly. They are absolutely rad, or other cool words you want to use. But in no particular order, let's go ahead and run through some of the guys that I think are going to be landing in this top 6. Apologies to Divine Wilson. For some reason, could not find his account. So I do apologize on that blunder. But let's go ahead and start off with last year's returning Arnold Classic champion and second place runner-up at the men's classic physique Olympia, Ruff Diesel, or his real name, Terrence Ruffin. Now, Terrence Ruffin is, as I just said, his accolades, a returning men's classic physique champion at the 2021 Arnold Classic Ohio. An amazing physique. Terrence is one of those guys that's really known for his posing. He's really known for his aesthetic look, the deep separations in his lines, especially as we start to look at some of the physique updates coming from the 22nd of February. These very aesthetic looking black and white shots from his front and his back. Terrence is known for posing. He's known for his structure, the tiny waist, the crazy X-frame proportions that we love to see in men's classic physique. Terrence is looking fantastic just under 2 weeks out from the Arnold Classic Ohio. He is, like I said, he is the returning champ. I do think he's going to be pushed by quite a few of these guys. But the real question is does he have what it takes to fend off these challengers? Something that we normally do not see at an Arnold Classic is a previous Mr. Olympia stepping on stage. In this terms, a classic physique Mr. Olympian champion. It's kind of tricky. I've seen people say, and I even misspoke now, saying a previous Mr. Olympia, where in all actuality, there's only one Mr. Olympia, and that's Men's Open. Everyone else is I sometimes forget the correct verbiage, but it's the men's physique or men's classic physique Olympia champion. It's not Mr. Olympia. So I think it's more of a technicality, and some people just get a little crazy about it. But I've noticed I've gotten some unhappy comments when I say that Chris Bumstead isn't a Mr. Olympia. He's an Olympian champion or an Olympia champion. So minutia, right? It's minutia. Don't we shouldn't be attacking each other over such silly things, but that is the truth. That is the truth. He's an Olympia champion. He's not Mr. Olympia. Anywho, as I was saying, we normally do not see an Olympian champion or an Olympia champion in any division competing at the at the Arnold Classic. Usually they just wait for the Olympia. But we have the blessing this year, pun, because we'll be talking about a person named Blessing eventually. Breon Ainsley, the previous Classic Physique Olympia champion, is going to be competing at this year's Arnold Classic, the 2022 Arnold Classic. And I have to say, although his placing has fallen, has lessened in the last few years, he's been creeping at the doorstep for a lot of these guys. I still think that he's going to be a serious threat, a very valid threat to this top two, even could push down to a top three, depending on how these other gentlemen show up. But I was skeptical of the 2019 Chris Bumstead. He looked really flat, really soft, small, downsized. He came out, with that YouTube documentary talking about how he was sick and how he lost a lot of weight. Based off of that, I thought in 2020, Breon Ainsley was going to come in there and sweep the floor. I thought he was going to take back his title, and history shows that that's not what happened. But I still think that he is very competitive in the men's classic physique division. I still think he's going to do very well at this year's Arnold Classic. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'd love to hear your guys and gals' thoughts in the comment sections below on how you think Breon Ainsley is going to compare up against these other competitors. Speaking of other competitors, someone that we have not seen a lot of physique updates on is, I'll try to work on the name, but Miracle Bear. It is Urs Kalsinski. I think I said that right. Kalsinski. Yeah, that's pretty close. Pretty close. Words are hard. Words are hard on this channel, but he hasn't been posting a lot of physique updates. He's kept it really under wraps, and I kind of like that. It gives that Dorian Yates vibe. It gives that Phil Heath sometimes. Phil Heath didn't post a lot of stuff when he was competing. He would just show up and be like, "Hey, I'm the champ. This is what it is." So I like that vibe he's given that classic vibe of the 90s and early 2000s. And he really came on the scene last year with those big wins. I think he won the Tampa, and then he came in and placed top 4 at this year's or last year's Mr. Olympia in the men's classic physique. So I definitely think that he's going to be a favorite to be battling again in this top 4 at this year's Arnold Classic. Can't say too much about what kind of progress or muscle he's been able to put on, but he's a very young competitor, something like 23 years old or so. So expect to see him improved and bringing the same level of conditioning as we've seen in his last few pro shows. Dino, Dino Ramon. I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'm not going to say it, but he's looking fantastic. He's been very transparent with his physique updates leading into this year's Arnold Classic, a top 5 finisher at the 2021 Mr. Olympia in the men's classic physique division. I definitely think he's a favorite to do very, very well at this show. Do not expect to see him outside the top 5, outside this first call out. I think there's 9 competitors, so it's a very deep lineup for how little competitors were invited. And that's a whole nother conversation of like why there wasn't more people. There's so many talented athletes that would have loved to compare against these guys before the Olympia. So that is what it is. It's a whole nother video, but Dino is looking absolutely fantastic. He's looking very conditioned. The proportions are just nutty on this guy. Something I love about the men's classic physique in these last few years is the focus, the emphasis on the small waistline and the crazy X-frame proportions. It's something that hasn't always been the most important thing in classic physique. I always think of the late and great George Peterson. Although he did have a small waist, he was a massive bodybuilder in men's classic physique, a perennial first call out Olympian in the classic physique, and then moving into the 212. Unfortunately, didn't get to compete last year because he passed away. But I love the look and the way that bodybuilding in men's classic physique is going in the last few years, and I really look forward to seeing that pattern continue. Now, another guy that I've seen a lot of physique updates. I'm not too familiar on him, so I do apologize if I'm not as my knowledge isn't as wide and vast as some of the other competitors. But Michael Abul looks crazy shredded. I think he still has some room to improve on mass. I think he has a great shape, as we can see here in this physique update from the 21st of February. He looks really good. He looks very lean, separated, conditioned, and all the other good words. But when I look at it, it just looks a little compact. Maybe I don't know if it's the clavicles are a little bit not as wide as some of the other competitors. Let me know in the comment sections below if you guys know what I'm trying to say here, but it definitely looks like he has some room to improve with the size. Although he looks amazing, world class. I could see him landing in that top 6 here at the Arnold Classic. But yeah, I definitely would like to see some improvements over the next few years. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him because he does look fantastic, and I'd love to see what just 5 or 10 more pounds of muscle would look on Michael Abul's physique. Another guy that we're all very familiar with is Peter Molnar. One of those guys that took a while to come into the IFBB Pro. He competed it was something like the PCA or in the Elite Pro and all those European tours, making the big bucks. And then he really made some big splashes. I believe it started about 2 years ago, and then last year just really made some moves in some wide strokes in the pro leagues, getting his pro card. And I think eventually he went to the Olympia last year, something around in that top 10 or so. But don't quote me on that one. I love Peter Molnar's physique. He reminds me of that real classic look, the classic bodybuilding, really big structure. I know that his coach, Chris Aceto, if he's still with him, I'm not too sure, but Chris Aceto was really encouraging him to try touching into that men's open category in the pro leagues. When you look at some of his shots, I don't know if he's going to put his trademark tricep shot here. He didn't, but when you look at amazing arm development, especially in the triceps, just a really freaky bodybuilder. He brings a lot of mass, a lot of great structure to the men's classic physique, and hopefully he gets a good look. He brings a lot, but I definitely think that he has a lot more muscle than typical classic physique guys. And no disrespect, I think him and Dino would compare very well if you put them side to side in the classic physique. So hopefully we get to see that. But Peter Molnar will be there. Hopefully he's not dropping out, but it looks like he is ready to rock and roll. As of 4 weeks out was his last physique that I saw. Another guy that I saw win his Olympia qualification last year in it was either Spain, one of the European tour shows. Really emotional victory speech. It was a tough one, guys. I remember watching the live stream, and it was really moving to watch him win that. He was one of the, I believe, in his victory speech, it was one of the first Colombians to win a classic physique Olympia qualification. So he's carrying Colombia with him, and just very excited to see him grow in this division. Looking at his most recent physique updates, I'm really impressed. He looks really, really good. It looks like he's put some size on the shoulders, which sometimes I'm critical of when it comes to these classic guys, is sometimes they're not as big as the open, which is where my heart lies, is in the men's open. But overall, Urbine is his last name, but Darwin looks fantastic. His side tricep and side chest shots are nutty. He looks really wide. He's doing that Arnold look where you put the chest up and really emphasize that old classic look. So he looks phenomenal. I don't know what kind of look he's going to get from the judges and how he's going to compare to the other guys, but he looks amazing. I think he's going to do really well. I think him and his coach, Patrick Tour, are going to be very happy with the package that he brings to this year's 2022 Arnold Classic Ohio. In the last one, not too much here. I do apologize, but Lenny Wicks, I found his Instagram account. It looks like it's mostly just for business, for his personal training boot camp. Wicks camp, but he does look good, but I don't know if this was one of those guys that won his pro card in the amateurs and he's rolling into the men's classic physique as like a pro debut. But yeah, it looks like he says he's a drug-free IFBB pro, so that's kind of cool. You don't see a lot of those in the IFBB pro. So and that's pretty much going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed one of these longer format videos talking about the lineups for the pro shows, definitely let me know in the comment sections below. If you want to see a video that's specific, you want to see a specific topic covered, you can always message me on the Instagrams or comment below letting me know what kind of topics you guys want to see. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, support all the athletes. I'll put their Instagram links in the description of the video. As always, support the athletes. That's what we're here for. That's it for the third time. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.